Welcome to Lodging Leaders, the podcast where we explore what it truly takes to lead, thrive, and create lasting impact. I'm Adaeze Iloeje-Udeogalanya, a TEDx speaker, a leadership strategist, and the founder of African Women in STEM. While many episodes feature conversations with innovators, trailblazers, and leaders from around the world, today's episode is a solo reflection, a space for us to slow down and explore a leadership, visibility, or career insight together. These episodes are designed to help you learn, unlearn, and walk away with grounded perspective and practical takeaways you can apply in real life. So if you're ready to lead with intention, if you're ready to amplify your voice, and if you're ready to grow with clarity over time, you are in the right place. Let's get into today's episode. If you do nothing, nothing changes. If you keep doing exactly what you're doing now, at exactly the same pace that you're doing it, I want you to ask yourself, where do you think you'll be in 12 months, in 2 years, in three? Will you be in the same position, having the same title, making just slightly more money, maybe going a step up if you're lucky? Or would you have reached and exceeded your goals for your career and for your life? Here's one thing I need you to understand, or I need you to consider about the choices that you make. The choices that you make in the present affects your future. When you need to take a risk, to get outside of your comfort zone, or to make an investment in yourself, and you stop yourself from doing so by coming up with all kinds of reasons, that's invalid. It is going to affect your future and the way your future pans out. And one thing that I know that we women do a lot, and it's not really your fault, that's just kind of how things are, because we're told to be patient, to just do the work, to put our heads down and do the work, and that, the reward will come. When you start your career, when you're working, you're nearing that mid-career level, or you're even going up. For some reason, we just feel that we have time. We feel that we'll have other opportunities. We feel that maybe we don't deserve it yet. Maybe there's still more for us to do. We think, oh, the right opportunity will show up. I just need to work a little harder. Or even when you're doing everything and you're still not getting the result you want, for some reason, especially because you're very smart, especially for really, really smart women that achieve a lot, that have achieved a lot in their careers up to that point, they always feel that they have to be able to figure this out themselves. I should be able to figure this out myself. And because of that, they don't seek help. And interestingly enough, for some reason, we have been made conditioned to believe that seeking help is a sign of weakness. Here's one example I always like to give. We know, I like to use sports because it's very obvious. We know people in different sports, for example, basketball or football, soccer, or any sports, or even tennis, that are really good and really exceptional at what they do. What they all have in common, they've all had someone mentoring, coaching them over time. And the reality is that those people are not necessarily better than them, but those people have skills to be able to bring out the best in these exceptionally talented sportsmen and women. But for some reason, when it comes to us, really smart intellectual people, we feel that asking for help is a sign of weakness. We feel that if I can't figure it out myself, then what's the point? But all that does, it actually just takes up your time. And what I want us to understand today is that time is really not on our side. Because when you tell yourself that you have time, that the right opportunity will come, that you just need to work harder, or you're going to figure this out yourself, it's a story that feels safe. It feels like the right thing to say. It feels like you're being patient, and patience is a virtue. It feels like the responsible thing to do or say or think, because especially women, for some reason, we find it very difficult to spend money on ourselves or to give ourselves a lot of time. Because we have to kind of justify we haven't taken care of everything and everyone else. But the reality is that decisions like this are costing you more than you realize. Because while you're telling yourself you have time, while you're trying to figure things out, while you're trying to put your head down and work, while you're waiting, having patience and waiting to be recognized, the gap between where you are and where you want to be widens. It doesn't stay the same. It doesn't wait for you to catch up at all. And this whole belief that time is on our side, or we have time. Okay, let me just wait a year. Let me just be patient. Is really dangerous. Because what it does is that it kind of convinces you that there's no urgency, that you can wait until next quarter, next year, until things calm down, until you feel more ready, until everything else and everyone else has been taken care of, until XYZ, okay, and you feel that XYZ needs to be promoted before you, so let you wait until all that happens. Every single time you accept that story, every single time you pause and wait and be not patient like you've been conditioned to be, you're just taking yourself further and further and further away from your goals. Because the things that work against you as a woman in STEM, as a Black woman, as an African woman, do not pause while you wait. The things that work against you as a woman in leadership do not pause while you wait. The broken wrong doesn't pause. The system that promotes more men than women does not slow down to help you or let you catch your breath. The AI skills gap between you and your male colleagues does not pause. The sponsorship gap, which is ridiculously wide, does not pause. We know that women are less likely to have a sponsor, someone with real influence that is actively advocating for them in their careers. And while you're waiting, none of this will change. None of these things are static. They're all moving. And every single day you're not actively working to close these gaps, you lose it. So there's something that I want to bring to our consciousness today is that waiting, pausing, is not neutral. Procrastination is not neutral. I want to talk a little bit about procrastination because I'm a coach, I work with women in STEM. And a lot of times when women come to me with what they need, something they've been working to get for a couple of years and haven't gotten it yet. We have a conversation, and sometimes when it comes time for them to take the next step to achieve that they need, they pause. They wait. They want to think about it. They want to try different things. And what I've experienced is that a year, two down the line, they still come back to me again and again with the same issues, having the exact same conversation because they procrastinated. I've heard women tell me that they've been thinking of us doing something for 3 years, 4 years, 5. Procrastination is not neutral, it widens the gap. Sitting in indecision is not neutral, it widens the gap. Sometimes we believe that if we don't make a decision, that it's okay. No, indecision is a decision. Doing nothing is a decision. When you do nothing different from what you were already doing, when you do nothing different to create the change that you want, it's not neutral. So here's the part that should genuinely concern you. Gaps are not created by big moments because sometimes you feel like, okay, let's say this is promotion season, I expect to be promoted, and that time you were not promoted, and you think, okay, that's a gap. No, not necessarily. Something was building up to that, and beyond that, something is going to continue building up. So gaps are created by the accumulation of small moments of indecision, small moments of inactions, or small moments of not taking the right action. I remember a time I listened to a career coach say the best time to start looking for a job is 7 years before you need that job. And at that time, I was looking for a job, so I kind of thought, what do you mean? This is so unfair. Why would you say that? I need a job right now. How can you tell me that I should have been looking for a job 7 years before? But she was right. And if you follow me enough, if you're in my community, if you've listened to this podcast, if you've seen my stuff on social media, I say the same things. And this is also research. There's research out there to back this up. I think the research says that 85% of jobs are gotten by networking and 70% of jobs are never posted publicly. So the reality is that relationships get you jobs. So when the coach said that the best time to give the job would have been 7 years before you needed it, what she was referring to is the fact that you have a higher chance of getting the job if you have the right relationships in place. But not to worry, they always say like an investment or whatever. Consider getting a job or building those relationships in your career as investments too. The best time to invest was 10 years ago, 7 years ago, whatever you want. But the next best time is today. So if you're listening to this today and you have not focused on the right things, then this is the best day to start. You have to be actively closing that gap by taking the right actions every day. Yesterday, I went to an event and we're having a conversation about women and funding. And somebody was like, when she tried to raise funds, she actually had a harder time trying to raise funds with VC funds owned by women than she did with those owned by men. Of course, there's the whole thing that only 2% of VC capital, venture capital go to women and all of that. But also, we talk about the fact that we want more women to support women or to give them money in their businesses. But the reality is that the way women think when they make choices, it actually works for them and against them, right? So VC funds owned by women or businesses owned by women are more likely to succeed, to give more return on investment than one owned by men, because men take a different role when it comes to taking risks. Women take a different role when it comes to taking risks. But the thing is that thing that actually makes them successful is one thing that also keeps them from investing in themselves or investing in other people. Because they'll also sit down and overthink every single decision. And it takes them a long time to actually bring out the funds to either invest in someone or to invest in themselves. So these are things to consider. So we're talking about the fact that if you're not actively closing the gap, it's widening. Just know that it's widening, it's not staying the same. McKinsey's 2025 research confirms that the broken lung compound, it basically refers to women's careers. And specifically now we're talking about women in STEM because it's a male-dominated field. You're likely going to actually have the worst of broken rungs ever. That's how McKinsey explains it. Every level of leadership draws from the pool below. So if you as a woman in STEM are underrepresented at the first promotion step, that underrepresentation does not correct itself further up, it gets worse. Because if you're looking to draw from the pool below, you're not going to be in that pool. Because if you already lost the opportunity 2 rounds ago, for example, you will not show up, you will not be seen. And Gallup's 2026 data shows that women are more engaged than men right now. They're more motivated, they're more committed, but they're burning out faster. So what it means that women are working harder than men, as always, especially in STEM, but they're still falling further behind because the reality is that it has promotion and having a successful career in STEM has absolutely nothing to do with how hard you're working. It has nothing to do with that. So if you're not getting what you want, it's not because you're not trying. It's because trying harder inside a system that wasn't created for you to succeed, trying harder when your strategy is not changed, does not close the compounding gap. So that's why we're here week after week having these conversations, because I need you to understand that your strategy around your career success has to change. And I'm going to repeat the uncomfortable truth, which is that hard work was never the variable that was missing. We women in STEM work harder than any of our male colleagues, hands down, and I can prove it. Another thing for you to know is that time is never really your friend. And waiting and being patient is costing you far more than you realize. But the fact that the gap has been widening is not a verdict on your future. It's just information. So I want to take everything you've heard today, not as a verdict, but just information. And one of one information is that you can act on that information that you have and use that as data to create the change that you desire. So if you're behind because you've been operating on the belief that time would handle things for you, well, time has never handled things for you. Time doesn't promote people, strategy does. So here's what I want you to internalize today. If taking a huge step is a bit overwhelming, then focus on taking smaller and more specific and more deliberate steps, but focus on doing it consistently over time. Focus on closing your visibility gap on purpose instead of hoping to get noticed. Focus on building relationships with people that can impact your career instead of waiting to be noticed. If what you've been doing up to today is not really working the way you want, then it's time to consider taking a different path. So what I want you to do today, because every week I have to give you assignments, okay? I have to, is take 15 minutes and brainstorm. Find a quiet corner and be brutally honest with yourself. And I want you to figure out where you stand in these 3 areas. Number one is your visibility. We talk about this a lot. So the people that make the decisions about your future and your career actually know who you are, what you've done, and how you impact the organization. Number two is sponsorship. Do you have someone with real influence who is actively advocating for you when you're not in the room? And the number three thing to consider is your positioning. Do you know explicitly what the criteria is for the next role you want, for the next thing you want, or are you just guessing? And when you do this, call yourself on these 3 things. If the answer you have makes you uncomfortable, that's wonderful. Because the first step to anything is knowledge. And the second thing is that discomfort is one of the most useful things that can happen to you. There was a time I had a conversation with someone and I realized that most businesses were built from pain. People felt some kind of pain. Maybe you were sick and you couldn't find the right medication and you just kind of created your own thing. Or the food you were eating was hurting you and you created your own thing. Or the shoes you wore were uncomfortable and you created your own thing. A lot of incredible businesses and products have been created out of pain. Because comfort is what got you here. By that I mean that over time you've built something that has helped you be successful, but you kind of got comfortable. But now it's time to make yourself a little bit uncomfortable. Discomfort, faced directly, will get you from here to the next level, like exponentially, for a bit away from where you are now. All right, so that's why I built the leadership egg diagnostics, because guessing where you stand is not a strategy. So now the leadership egg diagnostic takes about 5 minutes. And instead of you guessing across these 3 areas I mentioned earlier, it's going to give you a clear, specific picture of exactly where your authority, your influence, and your ability currently stands. And your positioning, basically your authority. And it will tell you now, not later. Just know that every time you wait, the gap between where you are and where you could be gets wider. So it's not too late. You're not too far behind to close the gap, but you have to be willing to take action, to get out of your comfort zone, to invest in yourself, to invest in your learning, to invest in your growth. So go ahead and take the leadership diagnostic today. It's free. It only takes 5 minutes and it will show you specifically where the gap actually is so that you can stop guessing and start closing it. The link is in the show notes, but it's also link.africanwomeninstem.com/leadership. Take it and email me support@africanwomeninstem.com and let's talk about your results. All right. So until next time, just remember, every year you wait, every time you wait, the gap gets wider and not narrower. So go ahead and close it. Bye. If you have learned something today or feel inspired by this episode, I will love and appreciate it if you'll leave a review on the Launch Your Leaders podcast. This will help others just like you know that this show is for them too. Find and connect with me and reach out to me in the DMs. I love chatting with you. I am Adaeze Iloeje-Udeogalanya on LinkedIn. Until next time, lead boldly, create impact, and expand your influence.